Okay, here's a little more information about one-step equations. And before I get into this equation here, I want to show you something, an idea. How about 3 times 2? And I'll put the 2 in parentheses there. 3 times 2. Think about what that is. Now divide that answer by 3. And what do you get? Well, you would get 2, because 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now how about this? What if you have 7, and you multiply 7 by 4, okay? And now you divide that answer by 7. What do you get? Well, you would get 4, because 7 times 4 is 28, and 28 divided by 7 is 4. So do you see a little pattern that's going on here? So if I look at the top one here, I could just, why multiply by 3 and divide by 3? That's just undoing what you just multiplied. So we call that canceling. And so what's left is just that 2. And so you can just skip this entire thing right here. And the same thing with the bottom one. Why multiply by 7 and then just divide by 7? These 7s cancel, leaving you with 4. Forget that whole step. So if you have 8 times 19 and you divide by 8, super easy. That's just 19. And we're going to use this idea throughout these multiplication and division type fractions, which are peppered throughout. So we have some number, back to the equation, some number divided by -4 equals 6. Well, I'm going to use the inverse operation. I'm going to multiply by -4, or -4 over 1. Okay, what this should look like is something similar to what we were dealing with on the right hand side. What we have is -4x over 1 times -4 is -4. And what we can see here is the -4s are going to cancel, leaving me with x. And that's the whole point of solving an equation, is you're trying to figure out what x is. Well, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do the other side. So I'll multiply this side by -4 over 1. And I get 6 times -4. That is -24. Remember, the Zare triangle strikes again. That happens when you multiply or divide. And we have a +6. So we have a +6 and a -4. That means the product is negative. So that's why I have -24. And 6 could be 6 over 1. And then you have 1 times 1, which is 1. And anything divided by 1 is just itself, so -24. Okay, let me show you in a lot fewer symbols how this really works out. I'm going to erase all this stuff here. So this is how it usually looks. It's a lot fewer symbols. Our original equation, I should say, is x over -4 equals 6. So what it usually looks like is this. You multiply by -4 because the x is being divided by -4. And then we usually show that these cancel each other out for the reasons that I showed you earlier. And you have x. Then you have to multiply by -4 on the other side, because what you do to one side of the equal sign, we're talking about this, what you do to the left hand side, you have to do to the right hand side as well. And 6 times -4 is -24. See, it's a lot fewer symbols here, but I want to explain that whole canceling out and why that works out. Okay, we have another one here. Now you have to think about the operation here. You're subtracting 0.5. And you would add 0.5. So I would add 0.5, and I got to add 0.5 here to both sides of the equal sign. So you got to think about, well, wait, you got to line up your decimals when you add decimals. Where's the decimal on 4? There's no decimal anywhere. Well, in fact, there's not, but it's hiding. So there kind of is. 4 is the same thing as 4.0. So there it is. There's the decimal. And I would place that 0.0 right there. And now I can add them up because they're all lined up here. Everything's in a nice kind of straight line. And I have x is equal to 4.5. That's it. Okay, here we go with the multiplication. Check this out. This is 0.8 times x. That's what it means. 0.8x means 0.8 times x. So I'm going to use that trick I used earlier, and I'm going to divide by 0.8. And this is the case where these two cancel each other out. And I now have x all by itself. But what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side. Now you might be thinking, oh God, decimals, division of decimals, this is tough. But I see this as 32 divided by 8. In fact, I built it this way. Now what's 32 divided by 8? That's 4. So your answer, I believe, is going to be 4, but this is how it officially shakes out. You have cowboys and horses. 3.2 is the cowboy. 0.8 is the horse. So the cowboy sleeps inside, and the horse sleeps outside. Now, when you deal with decimals, you have to move the decimal all the way to the right, and that only had to move one time. So I move this the same amount of times, and the decimal goes straight up. Now, let me clean this up a little bit. It's going to be 8 into 32, where the decimal is right here. Well, 8 doesn't go into 3, but 8 goes into 32 4 times. That's exactly 32. There you go. Here is our answer, 4 decimal point, which is the same thing as just saying 4. So our answer is 4. Here's the last one. Positive peanut right here. Whoop. Positive. So this really is x plus 3 equals -9. Okay, so you got to on both sides, you got to subtract 3. And that's going to be 0. And you got to know what -9 and -3 are when you combine them. -12. So x is equal to -12. Bada boom, bada bing.